Lucky Broken Girl. Chapter 21. A White Rose in July or January. Well, Ruthie, you probably know every Nancy Drew book by heart, Joy says to me, laughing. When she laughs, it makes her dangling earrings jingle, and she looks so beautiful it makes me happy. It's our last day of classes before the holiday break, and we linger over our English muffins. I've brought some new books for you, Joy says. Here's a book of poems by a woman who's never left her house. Her name was Emily Dickinson. She kept her poems hidden under her bed, afraid they weren't good enough. Don't worry if you can't understand all of them. Enjoy the music of her words. Okay, I'll try. Joy goes on excitedly. And since you know Spanish, I'd like you to read these poems by Jose Marti. He was the great independence leader of Cuba. Joy, I know about Jose Marti. In school in Cuba, we had to memorize his poem about the white rose. I still remember how it starts. Cultivo un rosa blanca en julio como en enero para el amigo sincero. Very good, Ruthie, Joy says. How would you say that in English? I have a white rose to tend in July or January. I gave it to my true friend, I tell Joy. I forget the rest of the words in Spanish, but I remember how he talks about a cruel friend who breaks his heart and how he will give that friend a white rose too. Wow, that is so amazing, Joy replies, and her earrings jingle again. I wish I could be as good and forgiving as Jose Marti wants us to be. We just need to keep trying, Ruthie. That's all we can do. And you know something? You are an amazing translator. I used to translate for my mother when we did the grocery shopping. Now I can't anymore. How about if you read the English translations of these poems by Jose Marti, and then you can tell me if you think they capture the spirit of the original Spanish? It's a bilingual edition, Spanish on one side and English on the other. Isn't that nice? And here's a Spanish English dictionary in case you need it. Thanks, Joy. That will be fun homework. They put me in the dumb class because I couldn't speak English, but now I can speak both English and Spanish. You know, you are very fortunate to know two languages. Not everybody has that gift. She smiles and enthusiastically pulls out another book from her bag. And I think you will love Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and see a lot of yourself in Alice and a lot of Alice in you. In a way, you too are on a journey into a mysterious wonderland, even though you haven't left your bed. I'll read them all. Thank you so much, Joy. It's my pleasure, Joy says. You're doing so well with all your reading. I bet you're at least a 10th grade level. I'm impressed by all the progress you've made. You haven't wasted any time while you've been bedridden. Then she places all the books next to me, very carefully, like they are precious rubies she is entrusting to me. And books keep me company the way my Cuba ragdoll once did. I love that Joy is helping me be so smart. Joy, I'm going to miss you during break. And I'll miss you too, Ruthie. Before we end class today, what do you say we see what news there is in the New York Times? Okay, but isn't that a newspaper too hard for kids to understand? I think you can handle it. I brought today's paper and one I saved for us to look at. But first, let me show you how to hold the newspaper. It can be a little hard to manage. It's hard to manage when you're sitting. I'm sure it will be a breeze if you're laying on your back, I say. Oh, Ruthie, you have such a wry sense of humor. She stretches out the newspaper lengthwise and folds it in thirds. See what I did? If you fold it like this, you can follow a story that starts on the front page and finishes on an inside page. Would you like to try? Sure. I'm a little clumsy at first, but after a while I get the swing of it, though I end up with newsprint all over my fingers as we read some stories. Then she passes me the saved newspaper from August 6th, 1966, and tells me, there's an article about Dr. Martin Luther King. I think you should read. Do you know what he's fighting for? Yes, I do. He thinks white people and black people should be equal and able to live in the same neighborhoods and go to the same schools. And I agree with him, Ruthie. Joy lowers her voice, as if she's scared to talk out loud. even though the only people in the house besides her are Mommy and me. Why are you whispering, Joy? Because a lot of white people don't feel the way I do, and I'm not supposed to share my personal opinions with my students. I could get into trouble. I read about Dr. King going to Chicago to protest segregated neighborhoods and being attacked by a mob of angry white people who threw rocks at him. Some of the people were wearing Nazi style helmets. I know this is a free country, but is that okay? So many ideas are whirling through my head that I feel a little dizzy. I think about how terrible it is to hate so much. I know, because I used to hate the boys who caused the car accident. When I stopped hating them, it was like I stepped out from under a dark cloud and saw the sunshine again. My grandmother had to leave Poland because people there hated her since she was Jewish, I tell Joy. And a lot of people here treat Mommy like she's stupid because she doesn't speak English. How can people be so mean? I don't know the answer, Joy says. I wish I did, but I'm grateful for the many good people that are too, like Dr. King, who is trying to teach us to be tolerant and accepting of each other so we can all live together in harmony. Or like Jose Marti, who'd give a white rose to his friend and his enemy. Right on, Ruthie, right on, Joy replies. Then she has such a happy name speaks to me in a then she who has such a happy name speaks to me in a despairing voice. But Ruthie, I have to admit, the world can be a frightening place sometimes. And suddenly the teacher I thought was invincible looks as if she wants somebody to say there to her, just like I often need someone to say to me. Part 4. Resting on the Point of a Star. Chapter 22. One Gold Lame Sandal. When I wake up on Wednesday, December 21st, I am happy that this year is practically over and that it's almost time to tear off the last month of the calendar. It's also the day I'm seeing Dr. Friendlick, and I am hoping he will finally remove my cast, but I'm scared too. I've gotten used to my cast holding me together, and I'm afraid I might fall apart when it comes off. It's been so long that it feels like I may never walk again. I'm resting on the point of a star, far from everything I knew how to do before I broke my leg. Sometimes I wish I could shout to the world, "Tell me, please, what? Won't you tell me? Do you know how to become whole after you've been broken?" Mommy is going with me to the hospital, all dressed up as usual, with no one to admire her and tell her how pretty she is except me. I'm expecting Bobby and Clay to come for me, but two other men arrive. They don't tell me their names and I don't ask. I'm only outside for a few minutes. It's freezing, and that makes me want to be back in my cozy bed. I feel sorry for the bare trees that have lost their leaves and are waiting for spring to bring them back. Then I notice the branches are as fine as lace. I remember what Chicho taught me about perspective, and all of a sudden the winter seems beautiful to me, a time of hibernation and waiting, just like I've been hibernating and waiting. Dr. Friendlick is amused when he sees my painted cast. "Sure you want me to take this off?" he asks. "My neighbor Chicho took a picture with his Polaroid camera," I tell him. "Oh, good." He cuts and I watch, happy and sad, as flowers, butterflies, and birds fall to the floor. After they take the x-ray, Dr. Friendlick stares at it for a long time. Trying not to sound worried, but looking worried, he says, "It's healing, but not as quickly as we'd like. Let's not take any chances. I'm going to put a cast just on your right leg. Your left leg will be free, but I can't give you a walking cast yet. You'll still have to stay in bed. Maybe 2 months, if we're lucky." I watch as he creates a new cast for my right leg that goes from my toes to the top of my thigh. "Here, Ruthie, sit up," Dr. Friendlick says, "very slowly. Your muscles have gone to sleep, so you need to go easy on them." My belly is free, and my back is free for the first time in so long. I thought I would be so happy when my body cast was off, but instead, I feel like a turtle that's lost half of her shell. I inch forward at my belly, pulling my back up, trying to sit. It takes all my strength. Dr. Friendlick holds me so I won't fall over. I look down toward my legs, one out of the cast and one still in the cast. I don't recognize my left leg, my good leg, it's all furry. "Why am I so hairy?" I asked Dr. Friendlick. He smiles. "It's a result of all your body heat trapped inside the cast. And you're growing up as fast as I feared. Good thing I put you in that body cast. I'm not sure what the hair sprouting on my leg and me growing up have to do with each other, but I nod as if I know. You can move the left leg all you want. Remember, it's not broken. Just been sealed up for a while. The muscles will take a little time to reawaken, but they will. And you'll be tempted to get out of bed. Don't even think of trying to stand up. You're not ready yet. Is that clear, young lady? He looks me straight in the eye to be sure I've understood. Yes, doctor. I don't know what Dr. Friendlick is talking about. I've forgotten how to stand up. Aunt Sylvia is peering out her window when the ambulance pulls up to our building. As the men carry my stretcher out of the ambulance, Izzy comes running to meet me along with Dennis and Lily, and Aunt Sylvia follows. They crowd around. I don't have a body cast anymore, I tell everyone, but I have to learn how to sit up again like a big baby. Isn't that ridiculous? Yippee! Izzy shouts. You're almost back to normal. He and Dennis and Lily jump up and down. So she can walk now? Aunt Sylvia asks quietly, turning to Mommy. Mommy's voice is sad as she says to Aunt Sylvia, Todavia. That means not yet. Aunt Sylvia replies, Hasta cuando? That means until when? Mommy shrugs. I see tears in her eyes. I'm sure they're not for me, they're for her. She has to keep being my mother, keep taking care of me, the daughter who's got a hairy leg and another leg that might never heal. Mommy leaves the room and I hear her weeping in the kitchen. I call to her, Come back, Mommy, don't cry by yourself. But she won't listen to me. Will our lives go on like this forever? Me always in bed and Mommy trapped in the house with me? No, 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 I can't let that happen. I have to get better. I'm going to start right now by moving my toes. As Dr. Friendlick said, my left leg isn't broken. It's just fallen asleep after being in the cast for so long. The toes are stiff, but after a while I can move them. Very slowly I start to move my foot, twirl my ankle. It feels like I'm lifting a brick, but my leg is coming back to life. Mommy, look, Mommy! Finally, Mommy returns, her tears all dry, and she brings me an apple cut up into neat wedges. Here, mi niña, you need something to eat. I'm sorry you had to wait. Mommy, I'm going to get better. Please don't give up on me. Look, I can move my left leg again. Ay, mi vida, be careful. It's okay, Mommy. Really, the doctor said I could move it all I want. But be careful, it's been in a cast for a long time. I will, Mommy, don't worry. The sadness in Mommy's eyes make me sad. But then I think of a great idea. Mommy, please let me wear one of your shoes on my left foot just to see how it feels. At last, Mommy smiles a true smile. Of course, mi niña, of course. She rushes to the hallway closet and comes back with a bunch of her high heels and lets me choose any I want. I select her gold lame sandals, which have a thick platform sole and an ankle strap. Put it on my left foot, please. My belly and back are stiff and achy, so I can't reach down yet to my foot. Now you put the other sandal on, I tell Mommy. Why? She asks. For fun, I say. She slips the sandal on her right foot and stands on one foot. She hops around before losing her balance and catching hold of the bed not to fall down. It's not easy to walk on one foot, Mommy says. Mommy, stay with me, I tell her. See me, Nina, she replies. She comes and stretches out beside me on the bed. With one gold lame sandal on my left foot and one gold lame sandal on Mommy's right foot, we're a complete person. Dear Frida, I don't dare tell Mommy or Joy that I'm not sure if I ever want to get out of bed. I can't say that out loud. They'll think I'm crazy. I hope I'm not. Did you ever feel this way, Frida? That a part of you wants to be healed and return to normal, and another part wants to stay fat just as you are, quietly in bed, painting your pictures, safe from all the mean people in the world? Please give me a sign, Frida, if you understand me. I really hope I'm not crazy. Ruthie. Chapter 23 My Royal Typewriter. After a few days, I can sit up easily in bed. My left leg feels fine, like it used to before the accident. I don't like its hairiness, but Mommy says I'm too young to shave. She still has to bring my meals to me on a tray, but now I can eat normal portions. I can even hold a plate up on my left knee. I kind of look like the god Shiva on my pendant, my right leg unmoving in the cast and my left leg on the loose. But I'm not dancing yet, that's for sure. And Mommy still has to bring me the bedpan. We both can't wait for that to end. To celebrate my graduation to a smaller cast, Poppy says he's going to get me a typewriter. You're so smart, Iha. When you grow up, I want you to become a secretary. They're always looking for girls who type fast and don't make mistakes. He comes home with a used Royal typewriter for me to get started. But Poppy, I want to be an artist, like Frida Kahlo in Mexico, I tell him. An artist? That's not a good profession for a nice girl, he says, frowning. Don't you like my pictures? I know Chicho has been encouraging you, but artists are always poor. You don't want to be poor, do you? Poppy, that's what Chicho's father told him. Because of that, he gave up his dream of becoming an artist. How about if you learn to type so you'll be able to support yourself? I bet you can learn to type 100 words a minute like the best secretaries. I figure it can't hurt to learn. Poppy builds me a wooden stand with little legs so I can set the typewriter on it and type in bed. He gets me an orange typing manual. I am to do one lesson a day. By the end of the book, I'll be able to type with my eyes closed. I quickly memorize the ASDF on my left hand and the semicolon J or semicolon LKJ on my right hand, and that makes Poppy very happy. I know how hard he's working to pay back Dr. Friendlick. I feel bad he lost his blue Oldsmobile in the accident. He loved that car so much. I want to learn to type 100 words a minute. Maybe Poppy is right. I should give up my dream of being an artist. I will become a secretary and make a ton of money and give it to Poppy so he can buy a new car. But if I do that, will I be sad my whole life? Dear Frida, are you listening? Say yes. Your faithful Ruthie. I do the lessons in the orange typing manual, and at first I'm really clumsy, but after a while I start to know keys by heart. Soon I can close my eyes and type the letters without looking at the keys, but the lesson's getting harder and harder, and when I have to type out a whole page, I get lazy and want to give up. Then I take a deep breath and keep going. I start thinking this typing thing could really come in handy someday since I like to tell stories. Maybe I can become a writer too, but I won't tell Poppy. Being an artist and a writer will seem crazy to him. One afternoon, when Mommy needs to go out grocery shopping, Baba comes over to keep me company. Te quiero? She asks. I laugh and say, Sí, te quiero. It's Baba's favorite joke in Spanish, a pun. The word for tea in Spanish is te, and when you say I want tea, it's quiero te. And when you say I love you in Spanish, it's te quiero. So my answer means both yes, I want tea, and yes, I love you. Baba makes Lipton tea for the two of us. She sits next to me with a tray of tea and a bowl of sugar cookies. She calls the cookies kizheyas in Yiddish. They are jawbreaker cookies because they are hard until you dip them in tea. We dip our cookies in the hot tea and they soften and taste delicious. Then Baba takes the sugar cube and puts it in her mouth and sips her tea so it gets sweet that way. I can't even bring the cup to my mouth. I have to wait until it cools. While I'm waiting, I say, Baba, how did you meet Ziad? She takes another sip of tea through the sugar cube before she replies, I never told you that story? No, Baba, I don't think so. I bet it was love at first sight. Not exactly, Shayna Medea. Is it okay if I type your story? That way I can get better at typing. Be my guest, Baba replies, and I smile. That's her favorite expression in English. Baba goes on. So I landed in Havana, and I found a room in bed in a rooming house for Jewish ladies. All I could afford were sandwiches made of bread and bananas. As soon as I heard they needed a saleslady at a fabric store in the old part of the city, I went running. It's all cobblestones there, and I was sweating when I got to the store. The man who needed the saleslady was your grandfather, your Ziad. He asked if I could measure fabric straight and if I knew how to add and subtract. I told him yes, and he hired me on the spot. I worked hard that first day, and the next, and the next, and he gave me a raise. Suddenly, I had enough money to go eat at the Moishi Pipik restaurant. I had gelfite fish and matzo ball soup and an apple strudel for dessert. All the foods I missed from home. After 2 weeks, I could buy myself a new dress, and I was still saving money to bring over the family from Poland. Okay, Baba, wait a minute. I'm trying to type everything you're saying. Of course, Shayna Medea. I'm in no rush. How can you type so fast? You see, Baba, I'm learning to type 100 words a minute. And then in a whisper, I tell her, I want to be an artist and a writer. But don't tell Papi. He wants me to be a secretary when I grow up. Your secret is safe with me, Baba says, dipping another cookie in the tea. Gracias, Baba, I say. And then what happened? Well, I kept working for the man who would one day become your Zied. After several months, he said, Will you marry me? Just like that. I said, Do you love me? And he said, Of course. So I said, Yes. And he said, I'm glad you said yes, because it's going to cost me a lot less to have you as my wife than as my sales lady. It turned out he was paying me 3 times what a normal sales lady earned. He wanted to make sure I didn't go anywhere else. How do you like that? It's a great story, Baba. So now you know how I met and married your Ziad. We've been together ever since. Through all the hard times and all the good times, Baba sighs and asks, Don't tell me. Did you manage to type all that? I got every word, Baba. Then you will be a writer one day, Shana Medea. I am so happy. I hug my royal typewriter. And then I say, Baba, you have to keep telling me stories so I'll have inspiring things to write about. Naturally, Shina Medea. And perhaps one day you will tell my stories to people who never knew me. That way these stories won't be forgotten. I will, Baba. I know you will, Shana Medea. You listen well, and that makes you a good keeper of stories. I am sure that all my memories are safe with you. Chapter 24 The Snowman. It's New Year's Eve, and Mommy is making a big flan with a dozen eggs for a midnight treat. I hear her in the kitchen, breaking the eggs into the bowl, and I realize now that I can sit up so I can be helping her. Mommy, bring the bowl here and the eggs. I can beat them for you. Mi niña, good idea. I can be making the sugar crust in the meantime. There are still 9 eggs to break into the bowl. I am careful to beat each one until it's creamy yellow, and then when I've finished beating all the eggs, I ask Mommy to bring the milk and the vanilla so I can mix in those ingredients. Here you go, Mommy. Now, I'll pour it in the pan with the sugar crust and let that pan float in another pan filled with water and put it in the oven. We call that a baño Maria, so the flan won't burn. Just before the clock strikes midnight, Mommy brings in a big bowl of grapes, and she and Poppy and Izzy gather around my bed. As we count down to the next day, we follow the Cuban custom of gulping down 13 grapes as quickly as we can. It's supposed to bring good luck. And then we all say Happy New Year. A few minutes later, Baba and Ziad come to say Happy New Year, and Uncle Bill and Aunt Sylvia and Dennis and Lily come to say Happy New Year. Dennis and Lily have party horns, and they blow them and make as much noise as they can. They jump up and down with Izzy and play tag, chasing each other around the room, until finally Uncle Bill says, Quiet down, kids. I need to make a speech. He clears his throat, waits for everyone to pay attention. Happy New Year, my dear family. Let's hope for good things in this year that has just begun. Most of all, let's hope Ruthie will get out of bed and walk again. I want to see her playing hopscotch like she used to. He extends his hands, and they all make a circle around my bed. There are tears in Mommy's eyes, Baba's eyes, Sylvia's eyes, Ziad's eyes. Poppy says, Why is everyone crying? It's New Year's. Let's be happy. Then Izzy points out the window. Look, it's snowing. The snow is coming down in fluffy flakes. We see it reflected in the glow of the streetlights. Snow, snow, snow. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Everyone stares out the window. Wow, how pretty! It's the first snowfall of the season. Ziad smiles. Reminds me of when I was growing up in Russia. I rode with your mother and father and brothers and sisters in our horse-drawn cart. Every so often we'd get stuck in the snow. We'd stop to fix it and have a snowball fight, laughing and stuffing snow down each other's shirts until we got sopping wet. And then we'd push the cart and get moving. What days those were! Aunt Sylvia says, Being born in Cuba, we never saw snow. Then I married Bill and came to New York. It still seems magical to me how that white blanket spreads over everything and the world becomes so calm. Izzy turns away from the window and announces, I want to make a snowman. Can we make a snowman tomorrow? Yeah, a snowman. A big snowman, shouts Dennis and Lily, the two of them jumping round and round in circles. Uncle Bill replies, maybe we'll make a snowman, but you kids have to behave. We will, Dennis and Lily respond. Uncle Bill winks at Mommy. Aren't you gonna get us anything to eat? Mommy laughs. Oh, I almost forgot, she says. Yeah, what about the flan, Mommy? Ay, mi niña, let me run and get it. Mommy is wearing her gold lame sandals for New Year's, and she goes rushing to the kitchen, returning with the flan, which is turned bright and golden as her pretty sandals. Its dark sugar crust has cracked on top, and the syrup pours down the sides and onto the platter. Mommy cuts up the flan, and everyone spreads out around my bed and eats happily. Now this is what I call a superb flan, Uncle Bill announces. Mommy says proudly, Ruthie helped me make it. She beat the eggs right here in bed. Muy rico, Sylvia says. You're a good helper, Ruthie. I get a normal slice of flan. Finally! How delicious it is, this concoction of milk and eggs and burned sugar. It tastes like Cuba, like a dream you can almost remember. In the morning, we hear a knock at the door. It's Chicho and Mark. Happy New Year, they say to Mommy and Poppy and Izzy. They come into my room and again they say, Happy New Year. They're bundled up in coats, boots, gloves, and ski hats. Chicho looks at me with his twinkle in his eye. Where's your winter coat? But you know I have to stay in my bed, Chicho. This isn't a walking cast. I know all that, Misillo, but Mark and I are taking you outside anyway. But how? I can't leave my bed. The doctor said so. Mark takes off his ski cap and slips it on my head. Fits you well. I pull off the cap and throw it at Mark. Stop! What's going on? Are you two making fun of me? No, Misillo. Of course not, Chico says. Please, Mark, you tell her. Mark twirls the ski cap around in his hand for a moment, then throws it in the air and catches it. Surprise, Ruthie, guess what? I have two very good friends who work at the same hospital where I work, and they happen to think you're a very brave young girl. We talked about it, and they decided to pop in and give you a special New Year's Day gift. They're going to take you out to play in the snow. The two friends enter. Wait, what? How is that possible? I think I must be dreaming. But there they are. It's Bobby and Clay. Clay says, Hey, Ruthie, ready to go outside? And Bobby says, Got your coat. We got the stretcher, and we brought you a nice warm blanket, too. Mommy slips my coat over my shoulders. Have fun, mi niña. Izzy throws on his coat. I'm going to tell Dennis and Lily, he says, charging down the stairs as we reach the elevator. The front steps of the building are slippery, and Bobby and Clay carefully carry me down to the sidewalk where I used to play hopscotch in the old days. They open the back door of the ambulance and bring out my wheeled bed and slip me onto it and wrap the blanket around my legs. Then Izzy comes racing over with Dennis and Lily. Mark and Chicho follow behind, carrying two big shovels. Should we get to work? Chicho asks. Izzy, Dennis, and Lily cheer, Yay! Yay! Mark and Chicho pile up snow with their shovels, creating the torso. Izzy, Dennis, and Lily pat down the snow and shape the roundness of the face. In between, they throw snowballs at each other. Izzy brings me a snowball. Here, Woofy, toss it. I hold the snowball in my hand, fluffy and compact, the flakes catching the sunlight. Then I let it go. I throw it into the air and watch it fall and dissolve into sparkles. I am happy, so happy. Bobby and Clay clap for me. Nice throw, Bobby says, and Clay says, yeah. They stay on either side of me, watching to be sure I don't slip off the bed. When I'm with Bobby and Clay, I feel nothing bad will ever happen to me again. What do you think? That's gonna be one heck of a snowman, Bobby says. Glad I'm getting to see it, Clay responds. How do you like it, Ruthie? It's beautiful, I say. But their kindness is even more beautiful. Should I tell them that? Bobby? Clay? You guys, listen. Thanks. Being outside again, seeing the snow so white and soft, feeling the cool air on my cheeks, thinking about Bobby and Clay coming over on New Year's Day just to carry me outside so I can enjoy the winter morning, I can't help it. I want to cry. Kids, listen. Or kid, listen, don't get sentimental on us, Bobby says. And Clay adds, Darlin', now you listen here. We came today because we wanted to. Chicho turns toward us, smiling from ear to ear. What do you think, Ruthie? Do you like our snowman? Want to give him a nose and dress him? Reaching into the pocket of his coat, Chicho pulls out a carrot. How's this for a nose? From his other pocket, he reaches out for a ratty wool hat and scarf. Bobby and Clay wheel me closer to the snowman, and I reach up and put the carrot in the middle of the snowman's face and drop the hat on his head and wrap the scarf around his neck. I remember Ziad's story about throwing snowballs at his brothers in Russia, and I think, one day when I'm old, I will remember this day and the love I felt, throwing snowballs at my brother and making a snowman while my right leg still slept in a cast. We're all admiring our snowman, but it's starting to get cold. I'm shivering, and I know Bobby and Clay can't be around all day. A familiar voice calls to me, Ruthie, are you better now? She wears a light blue coat and a black beret, so sophisticated. But I don't want to talk to her. She is not my friend. I have been bedridden for 8 months, and she only came to visit me once and ran away as quickly as possible. Hello, Ruthie. Don't you remember? It's me, Danielle. I don't pay attention to her. Bobby, Clay, I think it's time to go upstairs. I'm getting tired. Sure, kid, Bobby says. Bobby and Clay slide me onto the stretcher and just as carefully bring me back up the steps to my building. Izzy, Dennis, and Lily follow along, drenched from playing in the snow and ready to warm up indoors. Danielle stays on the sidewalk, standing elegantly beside our snowman. As Bobby and Clay edge me into the building, I turn back and catch her eye. She nods and smiles at me, but I don't smile back.